I think for a democracy to work, even the quality of the people should also improve. Their conscience should also improve. People evade GST and taxes in our country. So, do you think it has to be a two-way process and some way or something needs to be figured out so that the informal sector can be formalized?
In 2012, I came and started working on the RBA chair of economics at IIM Bangalore. In the meantime, there was a new governor at the RBI who had been the director of research at the IMF and for a short duration chief economic advisor of the country, and his first order was we should quickly implement inflation targeting in India because it's fashionable. But now nobody will marry my daughter if she doesn't have a job. So what is the trade-off? Job, job, job.
अगस्त 2016 में रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया ने इन्फ्लेशन टारगेटिंग फ्रेमवर्क को लीगलाइज किया था, जिसका मतलब है कि अगर इन्फ्लेशन एक सर्टन परसेंटेज के ऊपर कंट्री में जाता है तो रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया को गवर्नमेंट को आंसर देना होता है कि महंगाई इस परसेंटेज से ऊपर क्यों चली गई, जिसका मतलब है आरबीआई अकाउंटेबल है इन्फ्लेशन को एक परसेंटेज से ऊपर जाने से रोकने के लिए। इंडिया की इकोनॉमी को अगर विकसित भारत बनना है तो एवरी ईयर हमारी जीडीपी की ग्रोथ 7.2% से ज्यादा होनी चाहिए, जो फिलहाल हम रीच नहीं कर रहे। इंडियन इकोनॉमी कहाँ स्टैंड करती है, आज हमने एक सेलिब्रेटेड इकोनॉमिस्ट के साथ डिस्कस किया है। हमारे आज के पॉडकास्ट के गेस्ट हैं डॉक्टर चरण सिंह, जो ईग्रो फाउंडेशन के फाउंडर और सीईओ हैं। डॉक्टर चरण सिंह हैज बीन द नॉन एग्जीक्यूटिव चेयरमैन ऑफ पंजाब एंड सिंध बैंक फ्रॉम 2018 to 2024. Dr. Singh has also been pursuing his academic interests in macro policy and international finance at IIM Visakhapatnam and IIM Rohtak. He has also taught a course at UCLA Anderson, LA. Prior to this, he has been the RBI Chair Professor of Economics at the prestigious IIM Bangalore. He has been a senior economist at the International Monetary Fund, Washington, D.C. and he has also been a research director at the Reserve Bank of India. So let's dive into the podcast and understand some things about the Indian economy that you will never find in academic books because his experience speaks louder. सर, 2016 में इन्फ्लेशन टारगेटिंग फ्रेमवर्क आरबीआई का लीगलाइज हुआ था, आई थिंक अगस्त में। तो द मैंडेट वाज कि आरबीआई को ध्यान रखना है कि 4% इन्फ्लेशन को क्रॉस नहीं करना, 6% कुड बी इन एडवर्स केसेस। सो डू यू थिंक दैट आरबीआई, द सेंट्रल बैंक ऑफ इंडिया, हैज सक्सेसफुली बीन मैनेजिंग द इन्फ्लेशन टारगेटिंग फ्रेमवर्क इन इंडिया?
तो इस पे मेरे शुरू में ही थोड़े मतभेद है। मैं ये कहता हूँ इंडिया इज़ अ वेरी यंग कंट्री। The young demographics of the country, what do they want? They want jobs or they want too low an inflation? What do they want? तो जब ये सारी चीज़ हो रही थी, इन्फ्लेशन टारगेटिंग की डिस्कशंस हो रही थी, तो मैं उस टाइम से ही सबको कह रहा था कि थोड़ा इस पे विचार करो। Where did inflation target term come from and why? If you go into the history of the target, it comes from New Zealand. In a radio talk by a budding politician, when their anchor asked, so what are the major problems that you think are in our country? And inflation in New Zealand has never been very high. And this politician said, inflation. And then there's, oh, inflation? And then the anchor asked, oh, if you come to power, what would you do with it? I'll try to control it. Now imagine a small country like New Zealand, which is very, very rich country. Over there, where there are more sheep than men, a concept has been conceived by a politician and a TV anchor. No scientific study, no analytical work as far as economist is concerned. And when the party came into power and somebody asked them, you made a promise during elections. So what are you doing about it? Oh, yes, we are going to come out with inflation target. So did inflation target start. In the economic profession, many things had been tried and tested before inflation. We had thought about monetary policy targets, broad money targets. We had thought about exchange rate targets. And over a period of time, each one of them failed. Exchange rate targets had literally failed by mid-70s when the oil prices started going up. By 73, 74, the linking of the dollar to gold had already been done away with Nixon there. Then we thought of having a relationship according to the Cambridge equation of money supply and prices. And we thought the simple theory is if the money supply goes up, prices will go up, which is common sense. If you have 10 items which you have produced, you have 10 rupees, you can on an average price 1 for each. But if you pump in money and bring in 100 rupees, obviously prices will go up, right? This logical, common sense Cambridge equation, which has lasted 100 years. I had been arguing, okay, there is a theory behind inflation that we economists are aware of. That theory just can't be thrown out of the window. When you bring an inflation target, what happened? Did we say that the money supply went up? Now you can question me and say there are two types of money supply which economists use. One is the narrow money, which basically means currency plus demand deposits. Or there could be broad money, which basically means narrow money plus time deposits, right? So economists ran the regressions and used the Cambridge equation, and they found that the broad money has a direct relationship with prices. Then many innovative monetary products took place. Credit cards came, debit card came, many other instruments came, and the economist felt that the relationship between broad money and money supply is collapsing. That earlier regression, which used to be robust, is no more robust. Even I did lots of research on money supply, broad money, and inflation, and I found that sometimes around 1980, 1990, 1985 to 1990, that robust relationship is collapsing. So then we started thinking maybe narrow money and inflation has a relationship.
And sir, did you figure out the reason for that collapse?
Yes, new monetary instruments that came in, and therefore you could not control so much. Now you are using a credit card. Earlier, here is the money supply, here is inflation. But now with the credit card coming in, there's a distribution lag in your spending behavior and it's accounting. You're getting line of credit sometimes for 45 days, sometimes for 10 days, right? So that disrupted the relationship. And so many other monetary instruments came up, and therefore this relationship was disrupted. Then we were still working with the narrow money. Now remember, in our own country, we had the Chakrabarti Committee report in 1985. Till that time, things were pretty normal. All over the world, people were thinking in terms of monetary targeting. Once that relationship started collapsing, people started rethinking. Now, Paul Walker in 1980 had experimented and then emphasized that the relationship between the money supply and inflation still continues. And he raised the interest rates like crazy, and America went into a little depression, but correction took place. Everybody was thrilled and excited. They said, look, here is a relationship which is there. Now, going back to the story of inflation target, once New Zealand experimented with it, it looked quite fashionable. Because for economists, exchange rate targeting had failed. Monetary targeting was not showing good results. Suddenly somebody said there's an inflation target. It looked very exciting. So England, and I have little respect for England, they adopted it. The moment they adopted it, they do it with style and pomp and show. And Bank of England is the oldest central bank in the world. Riksbank, of course, is about 50 years older than them. But Riksbank never had that standing which Bank of England had. And Bank of England, once they adopted, they had colonized half the world and they have their own reputation. So the rest of the world said there must be something very good in inflation target. Now, Bank of England has some of very well-trained economists. They came out with fancy charts called the fan chart. And the fan chart caught the imagination of many people and it looks fascinating. With probability, you can say where inflation will be. And therefore, this is doable. Please remember, UK is also an advanced economy.
Yeah.
Right? Once UK adopted it, it became fashionable for many countries to adopt it. So many countries adopted it in Europe. And these countries which adopted it also felt very excited. We can control inflation. Wow, we found a new arrow and we can hit the nail in the head. Fantastic. It became fashionable. And then everybody wanted to jump into it. Now the issue is the countries where it was first conceived illogically, an advanced country, the country which adopted it in a big way, UK, a fashionable country, an advanced country. So far, so good. In our neighborhood, we had the Asian crisis. In the Asian crisis, South Asian crisis, many countries went down the drain. In India, at that time, we had Dr. Rangarajan was on his way out. Dr. Bimal Jalan was became the governor. And then we came out with a concept, our own concept of looking at multiple indicators.
Multiple indicator approach.
Right? And deciding what should be what. In the multiple indicator approach, we had the exchange rate, we had the fiscal indicators, we had the interest rate, we had looked at external sector. So we had taken a 360-degree view of the country's economy, performance, and then we came out with a multiple indicator approach. And it served us well. And we were very careful with it. We would monitor everything. In contrast, the countries which adopted the inflation target, they had sort of blinkers on their eyes. The central banks were excited. So, I have the mandate to take care of inflation.
Yeah.
Rest everything can go to hell.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a carefree bird. Even in that, I had a caveat. Well, I'm a very smart guy. So I said, look, sir, Mr. Prime Minister, you give me the mandate and I will die to bring and maintain that mandate. But Mr. Prime Minister, if oil prices go up, then of course you won't blame me because the oil prices are going up because of OPEC. So the Mr. Prime Minister said, Mr. Governor, I'm not as inhuman as you think. I understand. I will not punish you for this error. Right? So the story of core inflation was brought in. In case the headline inflation goes beyond the mandated target, you will protect me by only looking at core inflation. You will skim off the oil thing. Then,
So for the audience, can we please differentiate what is headline and core, because there are people who don't know about it.
right. So, the headline is the figure which the statistical organization would generally give, which will include everything that is part of the survey. It will include oil, it will include food, it will include some manufacturing, some rental value, whatever is a defined basket, it will include that. But moment you say core, then there'll be a definition of what all factors would be removed to decide the core. Now the governor of the central bank goes back to the prime minister, says, Mr. Prime Minister, have you seen what countries are doing? What are they doing? They are using corn to make oil. So, Mr. Prime Minister, if the food prices go up, that's not my fault. That's the fault because in the global value chain, somebody is using corn to produce oil and prices are going up. I'm not at fault. So what do you want? So in the core inflation, please remove food also. Right? Okay. So I'm not as human as you think. I'm willing to do that. So I will prosecute you and behead you in case core goes up. What is all this? I, as a consumer, have to pay the oil. I have to also procure food. What is all this? So I had been opposing, saying, on this moral ground, that the consumer is suffering. You cannot really make a distinction between headline and core.
Core inflation.
And if you give them a license of having core, then where would you stop? If the governor is your favorite, you would even permit him to define core in a different way, other than food and oil. Then where does it stop? Long story short, I found the whole concept of inflation targeting in an advanced country with a globally integrating world to be self-defeating. Because if the food items, manufactured items, and with services becoming part of international trade, cross-border, pricing would become very different. So therefore, you as a governor of a central bank would have very little control over prices which are being decided in other parts of the world by demand and supply, by shocks in those parts of the world. Therefore, what are you really in control of? And if you are going to find solace and take cover under core, then it's at the cost of the consumer. It's again not very fair. In sharp contrast, the multiple indicator approach, minted in India and looking very, very robust and sensible, to my mind, was the best approach. Now, to take this logic further, once you put the blinkers on the eyes of the governor and the central bank, you have already assigned multiple functions to the central bank. You have told the central bank that the central bank has to also take care of authorities which generate money supply. That means banking. Now, that part of the responsibility you have taken off the shoulders of the governor. And you have told the governor, you're only responsible for price. But you never told the governor that you're also responsible for financial stability. That you never told the governor. So the governor said, According to the contract between you and me, sir, I'm only responsible for inflation. What happens to non-performing assets?
Exactly.
What happens to other financial sector, non-banking finance companies, the shadow banks, the microfinance institutions, the insurance, the stock market behavior? Sir, I'm not responsible. My appointment letter says I'm only responsible for inflation. So everybody said, Charan, you are unnecessarily a negative thinking person. Until the 2008 global financial crisis happened. In the global financial crisis, all the central banks were focused, major set, were focused on inflation. There is a regulator. The regulator's job is to regulate. The regulator also has a supervisor. The supervisor's job is to see that whatever has been regulated or the regulations made have been properly implemented. There's a gap between the two. Even in the family, you can set a rule, not necessary every dinner it will be followed. But somebody has to keep watching and somebody is going to stretch it, and this happens every day. That can't happen when it comes to finances. There you have to be strict. The regulatory authority under the mortgage-backed securities, what happened, were very liberal. But you couldn't fault any one of them. Why? Because you had mandated the central bank that you are only responsible for price stability. For financial stability, who was responsible? Many entities. Then, if many entities are responsible for a single
Accountability is a
function,
problem.
accountability is compromised. And that's exactly what happened. So in 2008, many economists across the world, including Jeffrey Frankel, who will be coming on eager to speak on inflation targeting and tariff wars, many economists from across the world said there was a fault. We did a mistake. Inflation targeting was not the right approach.
So this was acknowledged in the crisis.
2008.
Yeah, in 2008 it was acknowledged.
Yes, it was acknowledged.
Despite that, we adopted inflation targeting in 2016.
So now I landed up at the IMF as a senior economist and started looking at the research advice which the IMF has been giving countries. IMF was strongly behind this fashion of inflation targeting. And the economists trained there in advanced countries, in universities meant to train people for advanced countries, in universities where theories are minted in advanced countries, empirically evidences from advanced countries, tried in advanced countries, those trained economists started telling that everybody should go for inflation targeting. So IMF took it on their shoulder to propagate the concept of inflation targeting across the world. In 2009, when I went there was a MIT-trained economist by the name Olivia Blanchard. He said, folks, there is an error in our inflation targets. We have blundered. We should revisit and rethink. And then again a debate started. We should rethink. Is it the right thing? I was there and I used to speak at different places and say, there are three things involved here. One is, firstly, inflation targeting in a globally integrating world is not easy to defend.
Yeah.
Secondly, theories meant for advanced countries are not meant for emerging countries. Thirdly, And most importantly, in countries where there is young population dying for a job, they are not interested in inflation targeting. And I'm not saying runaway inflation of 30% or hyperinflation of 50% or even inflation of 10%. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is between the priority of inflation of 7 8% to zero employment, that trade off my youth will not handle. So in 2012, I came and started working on the RBA chair of economics at IIM Bangalore. In the meantime, there was a new governor at the RBI who had been the director of research at the IMF and for a short duration, chief economic advisor of the country. And his first order was, we should quickly implement inflation targeting in India because it's fashionable. And then we will look at par with the best of the best in the world. We are not the best of the best in the world. We are an emerging country. Please remember, America has per capita income of $85,000, minus 2,500 even today. England's per capita income is $40,000, minus 2,500.
We are in the lower middle income trap.
So, in winters, their temperature can go to minus 10. But over here in my country, there are cities where temperature is still around 40 degrees. I can't wear the same fur jacket here. I'll get blisters. An emerging country with such a young demographic population, should it implement policies which are meant for advanced countries? Now, what is the difference between the two? The markets there are seamless. The interest rate, like in a pool of water, if I drop a stone, there'll be ripples which will go to the corners and come back. But if there are puddles and the pool is not common, where will the ripples go? When will the ripples come back? Never.
No convergence.
Each puddle is different. My markets are different. Therefore, my interest rate mechanism is different. The pool is not common. Where will the ripples go? When will the ripples come back? Never.
No convergence.
Each puddle is different. My markets are different. Therefore, my interest rate mechanism is different. My transmission is different. Therefore, I will have to think thoroughly whether my interest rate policy can ever work the way it works in an advanced country. Also, even in an advanced country, the transmission mechanism of the monetary policy impulse varies between 18 months to 2 years. In a country like India, within 18 months to 2 years, there's a drought, there's a flood, there is a snowstorm, there is a heat storm, bad winter, bad monsoon, severe summer, an arrow which has been shot 18 months in advance, which goes through different cycles of agriculture and different manufacturing cycle and industrial cycle and the global phase. Do you think after 18 months that arrow will go and hit that target? It will fluctuate many times on the way. In an advanced country, they can, because the economies are mature. Let me give you a very simple illustration. As a young child, my food habit, intake and consumption is very different from a mature man of my age. I have a standard pattern of consumption, quantity and timing. very different from a young child,
Wow, sir, amazing.
right? So is my dressing pattern. My dressing pattern is far more mature than my grandchild. Do you think my economy is as mature as of those countries where their per capita income is 30 to 40 times mine? Are the markets that mature? Are they so seamless? No. So I said, what does inflation targeting do? It imposes a restriction on you to now come out with an interest rate policy which may be harmful for my country. Because interest rate will decide my production capacity. If interest rate is high, I will wait till it comes down. I will not buy land. I will not set up a factory. I will not buy machinery. I know the interest rate is high. I will wait till it comes down. And in that waiting, it can take 18 months. It can take 2 years. And what will happen to the economy for that time? I don't have dole to give to my young population so that they can survive on my dole and consume. So what will happen? There will be unemployment. Moment there's unemployment, there will be migratory patterns. Some will go abroad, some will go into areas which are not really good, some will go to drugs, some will go to weapons because I'm not providing them employment. Not good for me. You have seen the recent example in India? Needlessly, we were matching the interest rate policy of America. You know, inflation in America was in the range of 10% after the Russia-Ukraine war. There was a disruption in the global value chain. In America, a 30-year average of inflation is 2%. In India, a 30-year average of inflation is 6%. America had inflation of 10%. Illustratively, in India, if inflation is 30%. But during this period, we were not affected. Our inflation was in the range of 6 to 8%. But when America raised their rate of interest dramatically, we matched it step by step. What happened? Investment suffered. The government is pumping in capital expenditure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Private sector is not matching it.
Yes.
Because the private sector knows these are artificial rates of interest. You have raised them. Under the fear, there will be capital outflow. Not for us. And that capital outflow, I argued, if it had to happen, will still happen. People are bringing money to your country because of long-term investment, because of long-term growth opportunities. You are the only country where they find political stability. So don't match that rate of interest. You are deterring local investment.
Yeah.
Nobody heard? They did it. Investment till today is not taking.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows while America will reduce its interest rate, our interest rates will go down. To make a conducive investment climate in the country, then the businessman needs 5-6 months to think, is it conducive? Is it going to stay? Then he conceives of an idea of setting up a factory. He starts buying the land, building the structure. Then he goes for machinery. Then the production. You will be surprised. 100% of the trucks in this country are bought on loan. Even private cars are 80% bought on loan.
Loans.
About 80% of scooters are also bought on loan. If the interest rate is artificially high, nobody is going to go and buy a truck, a car, a bus or a scooter. If nobody is going to buy, the factory can't produce it. If the factory will not produce it, the industrialist will not set up a new factory either for production or expansion. So then the point I am making is inflation is a very sensitive concept. When I came back to IIM Bangalore, me and my students undertook a study, not a scientific study, but 8 of my students joined. For 3 months, we did surveys. We spoke to everybody that mattered: young people, elderly, parents, employees, everybody, maids, watchmen. We talked to everybody. And we said, what do you think about inflation? What do you think about employment? And what is your trade off? So we got very good responses. Some people told us, sir, these days, to marry my daughter, she has to have a job. I need job not only for my son.
Yes.
I need a job for my daughter too. How about inflation? Sir, inflation, I can tighten my belt. Government gives something under the public distribution system, so house fire will work. But I can tighten my belt, but I need a job. For my son, nobody will marry my son if he doesn't have a job. But now nobody even will marry my daughter if she doesn't have a job. So what is the trade-off? Job, job, job. There's no trade-off. Inflation, we said, what will be your tolerant limit of inflation? Sir, inflation, even if it is 10%, 12, 13, 15, we can handle. But get us a job. There's now the aspiring India. They want a job. They don't want to be sitting at home. Sitting at home for a young man is damn dangerous. You have to give him a job. To give him a job, you have to reduce the interest rate. Right? Now, this is the second part. Why transplanting? A tool which was ill-conceived even in the advanced world, to impose it on India was utterly wrong. Should not have been done. Now let me give you another thought. What is inflation? Actually, the most accurate estimate of inflation is the deflator. Because that takes care of everything that is being produced in the economy. And you and me have a food basket, but that basket is not restricted to what is in the consumer price basket of CPI.
Yeah, exactly.
It's much broader, or sometimes it could be little. And what is a representative basket? In a rural area, in an urban area, in a metropolitan city we live in, what is a representative basket? Very difficult. Very difficult. It is a survey-based, fast-moving indicator. It is meant to give you a direction. It can't be accurate. You can tell me, sir, I have salary correction for the CPI. I give them a compensatory allowance for inflation to go up. But what percentage of population comes under that? 3%? 5%? What about the rest of the 95 who are in the unorganized sector?
Exactly.
Right? So firstly, I'm saying in your consumer basket of CPI new, how are you sure it is really representative? Secondly, how much of it is applicable to you, me and everybody? It's very fungible.
Yeah.
And to use that concept to decide the interest rate and to decide the interest rate to target that is, to my mind, unscientific. Especially in a country where there is a young population. It's unscientific. So, I have been opposing the idea of an inflation target which is so narrowly defined. Let me also bring you to the third concept. If you take a 30-year average of inflation in the country, as I've mentioned, it is around 6%. Now, when you impose a target of 4%, what are you trying to say? The interest rate will be raised to target of 4%, whereas your 30-year experience is 6%. That means you are deliberately curtailing growth.
Exactly.
Should you in a young demographic country? Should you? You should not. I would have said, look, very young country, I need to create jobs. My countrymen, would you be shy if I give each one of you a job, but inflation may run to 6%, which is my 30-year average? You would find the countrymen saying, sir, we want a Viksit Bharat. Right? To be a Viksit Bharat, why are you wasting my hands, my legs and my brain? Give me job. I will contribute into Viksit Bharat. I will produce something. I will go to places and create tourist spots. I will make it Viksit Bharat. You grow at 8%, 10%. I don't mind if inflation grows at 6%, but all of us need a job. I need satisfaction that I'm working, my son is working, my daughter is working, and there is work available to us. We didn't do that. We took a wrong middle point of 4%. And then what did we say? We said our band is 2%, which is advanced country target. We are nowhere near it. We have never achieved it. Their 30-year average is 2. On what pretext did we even think of 2? Had you said the inflation target for India will be 6 plus minus 1, you would see growth galloping here. 6 is our 30-year average. 5, yes, we are working hard. 7, yes, there is a global value change, there are global shocks taking place. Oil prices fluctuate from $30 a barrel to $150 a barrel. Have I changed my inflation target accordingly? Never. My commodity prices, my rare earth, my food items, their prices fluctuate from 10 rupees a kg tomato to 80 rupees a kg tomato. Did I change my target then? Then I said the law of numbers work. On average, we look at the CPI. Then we talk like that. So therefore, to my mind, the idea of inflation target and at 4% was ill-conceived. That should have not been adopted in our country at all. I'll give you another very worrisome reason. Your consumption basket, you're younger than me. My consumption basket, my grandchild's consumption basket varies every 3-4 years. Every 3-4 years. My body is changing, my consumption pattern is changing, my location changing, my entertainment ideas change. Your will change, my grandchild's will change. In a young demographic country where grandchildren are more than me, can I stick like this? The consumption basket is changing. And by the way, the CPI is at what level? Where is it computed at? 2011-12? That basket is not changing. As it is, that is misrepresenting my consumption basket. So there are so many pitfalls. And in these moving parts, how much confidence should I have? Therefore, one has to be modest and humble and say, we are doing our best given these inputs that we have. On the basis of this, we are forming some expectations and ideas. We are taking a course of action in this direction. Need be, we will correct it fast, but we can't be wedded to that. We have to be flexible, modest, and humble, and say we are crossing the river by feeling the pebbles under my feet.
Amazing, sir. Wow.
Right? So, therefore, I say this ill conceived concept of inflation target did not serve the Western world and certainly was never meant to serve an emerging country.
Yeah.
Now, let me also share with you fantastic research done by Professor Ball at Johns Hopkins. And then I replicated it at IIM Bangalore. Countries which adopted inflation target and quote unquote curtailed growth did not fare better than countries which did not target on inflation. That means the universal record of inflation, which inflation targeters are staking claim at their success, was misplaced. Those countries which did not do the inflation target, they also were not running hyperinflation either. So what happened? Sacrifice ratio happened. We sacrificed growth. And who will be impacted most by that? A poor country like me. These advanced countries are rich. They have money to pay to their youth in doles. They have money to skill them. I do not even have for my own survival. Where does it show up? If I have money, I will do my insurance. I will do some long-term investment planning. But have you noticed? Under Jan Dhan, my banking penetration has increased, not my insurance. The Prime Minister has come out with excellent Prime Minister's very cheap insurance policies. People do not even have 12 rupees to buy it. I don't have. I can't afford modern insurance cover. Because we Indians are first generation improving our income levels. We are not wealthy. You can counter question me and say, sir, this country has many high net worth individuals. I accept it.
But there is very high income inequality.
But there is high income inequality. And the country is not one country, 140 crore people. There are people who are very rich.
1%.
But
Yes.
then there are majority of people who still live on free ration. That 80 crore people which the Prime Minister is feeding, you think they are sinking the ration in the gutter? No, they're cooking it. They're using it. That means 80 crore people who are voting for the Prime Minister, accepting that they need this free ration, are not the ones who can afford insurance cover. That's exactly what I'm saying. That you cannot afford in this country a sacrifice ratio.
Exactly.
And that has happened. Now, if you are looking for a Viksit Bharat, to attain Viksit Bharat status, everybody should be employed. If I get a chance to do double shift, I should be able to get it and do it. And I will do it. Right? Because I want Viksit Bharat. I want to grow faster than anyone else. Look, I am at 2,500 per capita income. 85,000 is America. I'm no less intelligent than Americans. My children have been there. They are no less than anyone. They don't have an opportunity. So, now the issue is, we are very, very happy to be Viksit. But unfortunately, our per capita income is 2,500. The threshold to become a developed country is $14,000 now.
Right now, yes.
25 years from now, it'll move up. Say it becomes 17,000 or 20,000.
So Niti Aayog has estimated 18,000 threshold.
18,000. Now, if from 2,500 to 14,000, which is the current threshold, if I have to attain that status, I have to grow at 8%. If I have to touch 18,000 or 17,000, I have to grow at 10%. And what is my growth rate now? 6.5%. They have revised it downwards to 6.2%. Now just imagine America at 85,000, our dream, China at 15,000, our competitor, UK at 40,000, the cheats and our looters. If we have to reach any of these levels, we have to grow faster than 10%. And we are growing at 6.2%. Is it a dream to grow beyond 10%? No. China, for 30 years, 78 they were like us, as poor. For 30 years, they grew at 10% and above.
Yes.
So is China the only country? No. Korea. Korea, between 1962 to 1989, right, 27 years, grew at 8% and above. We can do it.
Yes.
And our youth can do it. And none of those two countries, when they were attaining this 10% or 8%, did ever have the demographic dividend that we have. So we can do it.
Yes.
The problem with demographic dividend is either you use the hands, the feet and the mind for productive activities which will raise production and your GDP, and if you don't, these same things will be used for anti-productive activities and they will harm you
Yes.
and negatively impact you. Right? So, we need jobs, we need opportunities, and youth is dying for it, and we are not able to give it. And why are we not able to give it? Because under some illusion of some fashionable concept, we have been trapped into inflation target. And because of that trap, which didn't work anywhere, we have imposed interest rates which are higher than what they should be, or which are higher than a rate which is conducive for India. Once we unleash that, you will find everybody wants to take loan, wants to create another job, another asset, and multiply. Let me share one more thought with you. I can open a factory with 100 crore, highly computerized, 10 people working. But under Mudra loan, I can give 50,000 rupees and have 3 people working. Now just imagine if I am able to distribute 50,000 rupees in my youth and tell them, go, experiment, do something, you will find each one of us will have a job opportunity. We will escalate it as we succeed. If we fail, 50,000 lost is nothing lost. I will come back to you and try something more. I was doing my postdoctoral studies for 18 months at Stanford. Stanford has the advantage of Silicon Valley. And this is long time. I was there in 2004 to 2006. So I used to ask the angel investors. I used to live, because I was a postdoc, I was not given housing within the university. I was permitted to stay outside the university. So I used to live at Palo Alto, just outside the university, where lots of angel investors, Indian restaurants, all that is there. And Sunnyvale is next door. So I used to interact with people, and there are lots of Punjabis there and used to interact with many of them. I used to ask them a question. When you are willing to invest $1 million in a young man, what do you see? It could sink. So they would tell me, we see many things. But the most important thing, which is a turning point, is does he have fire in the belly? If he's ready to die for it, he's so passionate about his idea, we are willing to compromise on other things and give him the money. And I said, okay, is that all? They said, yes, but there is one more thing we see. If this man is young and passionate, he could be dreaming. Right?
Exactly. Pretending also.
He could be pretending. He could be dreaming. But if he has already suffered the first failure, he is the best bet. Because what failure teaches you, success can never teach you. Failure teaches you to be so aware, so alert, so sharp. And you don't want to fail the second time because then you'll be dubbed as a failure. First time everybody will forgive. So second time you're going to die to make it succeed. And they said if he is a first time failure, the second time, failures are pillars to success. We in India teach it, but we never want our child to fail.
Yes.
No, even in the class we don't want him to fail.
They are even ashamed for failing.
Shamed, right? But in the Silicon Valley, they taught me this. One failure is actually a positive. Now, I say, I don't mind. Give mudra loan. Let them sink it. Because they failed, no? Then I can tell them, now you have failed, you've learned your lesson. Now I'll give you a bigger mudra loan. Mudra loan has 3 categories. The smallest, the middle, and the bigger one. The bigger is 10 lakhs, right? I don't mind. If he has failed once, I'll give him the bigger one and say, now don't fail. But the country is waiting with you. Go and interact in the university. You look at the Shark Tanks. You look at the ideas they have. Each one is so much full of ideas, hope and passion. We are not channelizing it. If we don't channelize it, then what will happen? Wherever there is a dharna, you will find 1 lakh of them come and sit. Wherever there is a agitation, 1 lakh will sit. You want them to sit for 1 year, they will sit for 1 year. You want them to sit for 2 years, they'll sit for 2 years. They have nothing else to do.
Yes.
Food is provided under a free ration. But job, a conducive environment, a job opportunity is not being provided. That gets provided in 2 ways. One is the young man is willing and his ecosystem, which includes his family and his friendship circle, is willing to support him to take loan for the first time. The second is the successful industrialists, successful MSMEs, successful businessmen are told, we can give you extra money. Please ensure fresh employment. Do not go for capital intensive investment. Please go for employment intensive investment. So I can, on both the engines, pump in employment and growth.
Wow. Yes.
Right? That can only happen when interest rates are low. Why will a businessman who's fully satisfied, earning good profit, why will he like to do it for you? But you tell him, see, I can give you at good easy rate of interest. I'm asking you to do a social work. You have asked the public sector banks to do social work. They do it for you happily. All Jan Dhan accounts were opened by them. Many Indians in this country are altruistic. They will go and feed a cow. They will serve in the mandir because that altruism is there. Once you tell them, I'll give you at easy interest rate. I have this youth. Let's put together. Only then we will grow at 10% or 12%. I need your contribution. Your grandchild will benefit. He or she will come forward. And if I'm the first time entrepreneur, if I'm told I don't mind if you fail, come test it. This is how we do it. He may fail, he may not fail. If he doesn't fail, good. If he fails, it's the first time failure. I'll give him bigger amount. Next time, go and succeed. I think that is where the interest rate policy has to play a role in Viksit Bharat. And we have used the interest rate policy in such a narrow manner of only looking at inflation. I think we have wasted a very important instrument which could catapult me to a different orbit. I'm using it as a tool to keep slowing me down.
Yeah.
That's the tragedy with inflation target.
Wow. Sir, but there is a huge informal market in India. Huge informal market in India. And those people from the informal market, if they are starting, if they are going into a startup, they usually take money from informal sources, their friends or something like that. So, do you think that the informal market also has a role to play? And how can we bring them in the formal structure? They don't trust the governments, so they don't come in the formal structure. They'll try to avoid GST, right? So I think for a democracy to work, even the quality of the people should also improve. Their conscience should also improve. People evade GST and taxes in our country. So do you think it has to be a two-way process, and some way or something needs to be figured out so that the informal sector can be formalized?
So now you have asked me actually a huge number of questions. One question is on the unaccounted money, which you're calling black money, and you're looking at the merits and demerits of the black money. Well, to be honest with you, if you look deep into unaccounted money, where did it start from? We are by nature very God-fearing people. And by nature, all businessmen want peace. Nobody likes to have a policeman or a income tax raid at their homes. Then why do we evade taxes? One thing is true, we all evade taxes. We all avoid taxes. We will go and buy from a place who doesn't give us a receipt. We all, somewhere or the other, like to do this. Why do we do it? So let me take you back in history. We were the richest country on the planet. And not for 1 year, not for 100 years, not for 300 years. Right? America has been the richest on the planet for about 100 years. UK was the richest on the planet for about 300 years. And UK richness is looting. Ours was not looting. We were sitting where we were. People from across the world will take risks, come in big ships, some sink, some find another place and call it India. But we were sitting quietly, working at our own pace, in our own country. We were the richest for 3,000 years. And when we say richest, you know what? Today, America accounts for 25% of world GDP. We, for 1,000 years, accounted for 33% of world GDP.
Oh, wow.
Right? And then looters, cheaters, everybody came despite that, and they chipping into us. Our share from 33% to 25% took 2,000 years to come down. So for 3,000 years, we were the richest on the planet. Then we were invaded. The Mughals came. Then the cheaters like the British came. Then many other European countries also came. And they cheated us. And they looted us. My theory of economic independence of India is different from the rest of our country. People say it's Mahatma Gandhi's non-violence. Some say no, it is Shahid Bhagat Singh Rajguru. Some say it is Subhash Chandra Bose, so violence. Mahatma Gandhi's non-violence. There's violence. But my theory of economic independence is economic theory. In economics, there is one axiom of economy, public finance. It says, if to raise taxes, I have to put so much energy that the amount of tax raised is less than the cost incurred, it is not worth it.
Yes, sir.
It's the axiom of convenience
Public
and
finance.
economy,
Yes.
public finance. The British, when they came over here, they ruled us they suck our blood, they also suck our bone marrow. And when they found there is nothing more to suck, Nizam's gold has been taken away, Kohinoor has been taken away. Now there is nothing more to suck. Running the administration in India is going to be more expensive than the benefit I can suck out of them. What is the point? They did a simple cost benefit analysis and they left us. That is why I say it had nothing to do with violent Subhash Chandra Bose or Bhagat Singh or Rajguru, neither with non-violent Gandhi. It was the economic theory. It was no more pragmatic to run this country. And so they silently took the credit and went away. That theory has yet to be written. And one day I'll go to the archives and build it. I'm sure this sharp Brits must have recorded it somewhere that they must have told the king, I'm coming back, it's too expensive. Or the king must have told them, you're charging me. Now, when you've been ruled for multiple generations by invaders and cheaters, would you not cheat and evade taxes? Why should I pay them taxes? Their only job is, if they're Mughals, to go and fight another battle against my fellow Indian, or have queens by dozens. Or these Brits, why should I pay them the taxes? They're only going to loot me and make the queen rich and put another pearl in her hat. Why should I? So we were able to rationalize evading and avoiding taxes. Right? And this looks sensible. I'm loyal to my country. Why should I give these guys? So the Reserve Bank of India was created under an act in 1984 and finally started in 1935. Under an act in 1934, started in 1935. They came out with high denomination notes, like 10,000 rupee note. By 1945, the British administration realized that the tax collection has gone down. And Her Majesty's Treasury said, what's happening? How come the revenue has gone down? What the Indians started doing, they starting evading taxes by hoarding 10,000 rupee notes. So what did the Brits do? They demonetized. So the first demonetization happened before India's independence. Right? So we cultivated the habit of evading taxes, and I think logically we did the right thing. Even if today I know my money is going to be misused by a foreign party, I will rationalize it. I won't mind going and putting it in the mandir, but I'll not like to give it to the tax as much as I can avoid, because I know it's either going to be used against my countrymen or against my country to buy weapons and kill my people. Why should I do it? That habit became very easy. And it went over and over in the generations. For many generations, the country felt, the countrymen felt, the business and the unorganized sector that you were referring to felt that our money is not being properly utilized now by the elected representatives, unfortunately. And therefore, the habit of not properly accounting your income perpetuated, unfortunately. We tried many things on the way. One of the most outstanding schemes we tried was special bearer bonds. It did not fetch us anything. And of course, then the current Prime Minister tried the demonetization, and even that did not succeed. Right? And if you tell me as a common man, has corruption receded in recent months or years? The common man will tell you, no, it has not. So that means unaccounted money continues to flourish. There have been studies which have been done, which have different estimates. The Vanchu committee is a very popular committee. But other than that, National Institute of Public Finance and Policy also did their studies. Professor Arun has done lots of work on unaccounted money. He has a book to his credit. I think 2 books to his credit.
Yeah.
Now, there are different estimates. Some estimates say that 20% of country's GDP is unaccounted. There are other official estimates by these committees which say about 50% of the GDP is unaccounted. But if you talk to people in a friendly manner, they'll tell you almost it is 100. If you say that GDP is 100, then non-accounted GDP is also 100. So that means the money is flushing around into the system. Is that money accessible for investment? Now that's the question that you are asking, that if there is an unaccounted money in the informal sector, why can't I use it for investment purposes? I need not tap the official Reserve Bank of India rate.
Exactly.
Moment I buy land, moment I set up a structure, I order machinery, it gets visible. And then the tax authorities and the excise, everybody becomes aware that there is some money here. And then they ask you for tracing where did the money come from. And then all your secret is out in the open. So there is a reluctance in using that. So where does that money finally end up? That money finally ends up in unaccounted assets, generally gold,
Yes.
or in tax havens, or in banks outside India. So if you are thinking that unaccounted money can compensate for the interest rate badly formulated inflation target, and therefore the interest rate policy can be circumvented by this unaccounted, it will not.
Amazing, sir. I just have one more question. The entire world is looking at Trump's tariffs. Okay, so what do you think? By what all channels do you think that inflation can be impacted in India because of his tariffs? Because do you think the expectations of the businessmen would change, or inflation expectations of the businessmen and the consumer would change? And do you think this entire political tension that is being created by Trump's tariff, everybody is watching Trump's tariff right now, how do you think it will impact India, and how can we protect ourselves? And this rising protectionism around the world, not just America now, and the entire world, from globalization to protectionism, this is happening. And at a time when India wants to become Viksit Bharat, do you think this is in our favor, this entire thing?
So let me first share this thought with you. When Korea was developing at 8% and above, 1962 to 89, you think they didn't face challenges? You think so? They must have faced challenges. Massive challenges at that time. I can share one. Do you remember the oil price? First oil price? How oil price shock? Do you also remember gold be delinked from dollar?
Yeah.
Nixon, right?
71.
All that happened. 71 to 73 is very turbulent global time. Still Korea recorded 8%.
So do you think the size of the country also matters in that case?
Many things. Your resolve matters. I have to succeed. See, we have all grown up in India. We have exams and power fails. Do you think we close the book and take a nap? No. We'll run for the candle, or we'll go to the street light, or we'll I used to tell my dad, cycle fast on the paddle, the dynamo light will fall on my book, and I used to study. We will all find new ways. But tomorrow's exam will be attempted and the result will be I'll be first in the class. Have we not all done it?
We can't make excuses.
We can't make excuses. We have ways to do it. Therefore I say, Ram is Ram. Because Ravan was there. Otherwise, before Ram, many kings came. But why do we all worship Ram? Because against the worst of the enemies, he stood the test of time and proved that better than them. Right? challenges will come. When China was recording 10%, that happened in our memory, 81, 82. Do you think challenges didn't come globally? They came, but they rose to every challenge, fought it, and said, we will not let my marks go below 100 out of 100 in maths. Power failure, no problems. Many of us fell sick, vomiting, fever. But despite that, the mother, the father, the family will sit together. They'll close your eyes, but please remember 2 and 2 is 4. And tomorrow you sit in the exam, you again get 100 out of 100. Right?
Yeah.
Challenges will come. They should come. Otherwise, the thrill of success is gone.
Amazing, sir. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Therefore, there's nothing to worry. We want challenges. The more challenges come, the better you will perform. You will have jugadu systems and you will feel conquered and you will have stories to narrate. That is no problem. Now, we are facing a challenge. Doesn't matter. We will rise to it. When it comes to America's tariff war, Trump has not come for the first time. He had come earlier. He did the same drama earlier.
Yes.
Right? And then we all know how China and America put their heads together. And within 6 months, the whole thing settled. And the world went on as normal. I'm expecting the same thing here. Little turbulence in any marriage. First few months are testing times. Then both the parties settle. And the marriage continues. Soon you have a child. Right?
Yes, sir.
Same will happen here also. So that also doesn't worry me. Then the third thing. India is actually not India. India is a continent.
Yes.
Tell me, in India, you will find Italy, you will find France, you will also find Morocco, and you will also find some third world country here within India. Each one is a different opportunity. If I'm not able to sell my tractor outside India, I can sell it in Jharkhand, Bihar. I need not stop my production. Right? So within the country, I have so many opportunities that I do not even have to take my stuff out to another country. But America is fighting a tariff war, and therefore I can also explore my own countries to export to. I need not go and infringe on the countries he has an eye on. Let him have his own way. I'll find my own way. So I'm not worried. Now I want to tell you one more thing. At my age, given my experience, global trotting, global education, do you think Trump is mad? He's 85, successful businessman, globally traveled, global business interests. Do you think he's mad? I think no.
No.
Something has happened which he knows, which probably we don't know, that he is trying to square it up. Little that I know, I can share with you. Do you think that China rose the way it rose by following a milky pious way? Are you ready to tell me that they did not manipulate their exchange rates? Or they did not accumulate the foreign exchange reserves they have done? Or they have become the global manufacturing hub by being Pope? Right?
True. Yes.
You can question me and say, sir, before that, did Britain attain that global power by being a Pope? Of course no.
No. Yes.
Did America become the global power by being a Pope? Of course no. This is the track. Each one of them have used it like this. So is China also using. But when you are number one and somebody is competing neck to you, you will try everything to curtail it. So America is trying it. And that is within America's right not to allow another power to come up. It is within the right of the seed to break through the soil and still make its head up. It's the strength of the seed that erupts. China will erupt. We were like that. We have been disrupted by these cheaters. We are also erupting. And we will also erupt. So therefore, I don't fear the tariff wars. I do not even say that Trump is sinful. in doing what he's doing. He's doing it because there's a history to it, there's a background to it. And within our recorded 3 to 4 decade history, people of my age know it that China also did not play the rules properly. So if America is now saying that you have cheated on me, I think they're within their right. Should America welcome China and say, let's sit together, embrace each other, and make the world a global heaven? That will be an ideal situation. But Americans are not popes. They did that to Japan. If you look at Japan, Japan's lost decades are not because Japanese were foolish. It's because the Americans and the Europeans did the Louvre Acts and Accords and ensured that Japan does not stand up. China is avoiding that. China is fighting back. And China is saying, you were successful with Japanese. Sorry. We are not Japanese. We are better than them. And in a way, it's good for India.
Yeah.
When the time will come for us, for our seed to break through the ground and erupt, we have the Japanese experience, we have the Chinese experience, and we'll find our own ways to then say we have arrived. So I'm not worried. I'm looking at it from a learning angle.
Amazing, sir. I can do a series of podcasts with you. Yes, truly. It was an honor to be sitting with you. Thank you so much, sir.